like that. It's like that's what happens when you got real love, real brotherhood, uh, real trust. You know what I'm saying? So it was a beautiful thing to the fullest, bro. That's the difference.
Hey, I feel you on that. I mean, how you feeling today?
I'm doing good. Blessed that the Niners, we get to see the Niners play in a freaking Super Bowl. How many times have we made it to the finish line or seen the finish line and just fallen short? And this time we've made it to the finish line. We just got to get it done and win the race. In 2 weeks, hopefully we get it done. And what better team to play than the Kansas City Chiefs? That's who I wanted to face, the Kansas City Chiefs. That Ravens team, it's different. It's the different Ravens team that we lost to back in 2012. This is the same exact Chiefs team, same quarterback. Now you have a couple of pieces that are gone, same thing with the 49ers, but it's the same pretty much core guys on both teams for the most part, except for obviously a few losses on both teams. But this is the team that I wanted to face in the Kansas City Chiefs, and this time we don't got Jimmy Garoppolo under center. We got Brock freaking Purdy. Kels, you're really surprised that Kyle didn't look for Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, I'm surprised that Kyle didn't go into the locker room and be like, Jimmy, we did this in spite of you. Like, go into Jimmy's ear and be like, Jimmy, we did this in spite of you. Like, I'm surprised he didn't say something like that. But Brock Purdy yesterday, where the haters at now? Like, where the haters at now after what Brock Purdy freaking did yesterday? We going to another Super Bowl. So, like, I mean, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. This team gets to see another game, another week. I mean, what's better than that?
No doubt. Hey, I want to hear your general thoughts about this game. But, fellas, on Friday, something came over me. I had this feeling, and it was to go to this game. So I had to fork up some cash because I needed to be there and cheer my team on. I'm so glad I went. What a freaking comeback. It was just a range of emotions, right? Because the start of the game, it was awful. The first half was awful. The defense, terrible. Guys, I was looking at you could drive a car through some of these holes that the Detroit Lions offensive line was creating. And not only that, so I'm yelling at my team, I'm making noise, but my section 108, we started off slow in my section. I was trying to pump guys up around me like, hey, we got to make noise. We're on defense. So it was like the team got off to a slow start and section 108. But I'll tell you what, both of those picked it up come the second half. And a halftime, right? Long line to get to the bathroom at halftime, right? Of course, there's like a group of 4 Lions fans behind me, and I got to hear all this chirping the whole time while I'm in line. I couldn't even look behind me to acknowledge them because I was so at that point. I was furious. Like I said, the range of emotions. It was, frustrated at the start, upset, halftime, furious. And they're like, hey, oh, this game's over. This is a wrap. This is what they're saying. There's not enough time for these guys to come back. Right. One guy said, well, we got to close them out. They get the ball coming out of half. Anyway, these Lions fans thought it was over. That being said,
Hey, so did C.J. Gardner Johnson, huh?
that was a clown move. That, that was a clown move.
That made it
Yeah,
so much sweeter, though. It's perfect.
absolutely. Absolutely. And we saw what happened. Brock Purdy, the kid was making plays out there. Some extremely timely plays with his legs, moving the sticks, some nice throws. The defense came up clutch. So I want to hear what you guys thought about this game. Why don't we start off with you, Amin? Just some general thoughts about this Niners win.
I mean, obviously in the first half it wasn't pretty. I was screaming. I was not happy in the first half. I was honestly frustrated, just like you, Baller. I was frustrated because I'm like, you came. This is the game when it matters, and you're a game away from the Super Bowl. We've fallen short the last couple of years, and this is how y'all come out playing in the first half. Y'all are down 24-7. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan said in the locker room. I don't know what he did, but Kyle Shanahan and that team came out on fire, like bang bang, like literally, like they say bang bang Niner gap, like it was bang bang. Like we came out in the second half banging. Obviously with obviously scoring a field goal on the first drive, and then you score a touchdown off that IU catch was freaking crazy. And on top of that, the fumble forced by Deshaun Gibson, Eric Armstead picks it up, Like all in the second of like almost five, in a span of almost 5 minutes, this Niners team is back in it from being down 24-7 to being back 24-24. And you're like, wow, that was freaking insane. But overall, it was a wild ride of emotions. Brock Purdy, like after watching yesterday's game, you can't compare Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not the same thing. Watching yesterday's game, like they're not the same thing. Kyle Shanahan literally said, "Brock Purdy, go out and win us this game." And what did Brock Purdy do? It was almost like he was playing playground football on some of them. Like some of the runs that he made, like on a 3rd and 4, escaping the pressure, getting around the defender, the linebacker almost tackled him by the feet, and he goes around him and picks up the first down. The timely runs, using his arm to make plays. I mean, Kyle Shanahan said Brock Purdy go out and win this game, and what did Brock Purdy do? He went out and won this game. It was a wild ride of emotions, but we got it done, and we get to play in another Super Bowl. So, yep.
Facts. Looking forward to it.
Man, I thought we were gonna come out. I thought we were gonna come out and set the tone. That's what I was hoping for. You know, I told you guys last week. I was like, come out and blitz early. Just set the tone early. Like, and I know that's a gamble. I get it, man. You got to weigh the odds, and you know it's a long game and all that stuff. And we came out the complete opposite, man. I mean, what 4 plays? Freaking end around straight into the end zone.
It was like, easy, Celts. It was easy.
Easy, bro. I'm over here. You know, I mean, they were chanting Jared Goff going into the halftime. They were chanting. I heard it from the television screen. I don't know how loud it was there, baller.
Hey,
it was
Jared Goff. You know,
chance.
At some point, I had to tip my cap to Detroit. They showed up. There was more blue than I expected, and those Jared Goff chants, dude. It was pregame. I'll tell you what, it was pregame, during the game. Wasn't postgame though. No post-game Jared Goff.
No, hell no. It was Purdy. If anything, but hey, man, like you said, I couldn't believe how they was running on us. I couldn't believe it. And then just even 3rd and 18. I don't know if this is all the first half, but 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9. I'm just like, dude, this is what we're doing in the NFC Championship game. Like, where is the heart? Where is the fight? Like, you know, Chase Young. I don't care if Chase Young made 4 decent plays, 2 or 3 or 4 of those plays where he is giving. Oh Lord, man.
Kels, don't get me started on Chase Young, bro. Please don't.
Bro. Like it's embarrassing, especially the 49er, like the foundation that the 49ers have set. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. I want you to run through people. You know, we're gonna go 110. That's our, you know, Kyle is conservative, right? But he might be conservative in trying to be as smart as he can, but he gets these guys to go as hard as they can go with the practices. You can hear all the 49ers talk about it. But my thing is like, where the hell is the heart? Where is the will? Like, is this really what we're, you know, putting out here? You know, we're talking all this talk through the whole year. This is our year, and freaking the time is now, and do it for the Bay, and all this stuff. And Steve Young coming out, you know, with these amazing videos and all this stuff. And so I was highly disappointed, bro. It was embarrassing. You know, that's the way I really felt about it. But I still had faith. You know, regardless, like I still, of course, you know, I'm over there telling my wife, look, this is all we got to do. We make one stop, we get one score, we come out of halftime, we do this, we can really do it. Is it likely? I don't know. It probably not, but we can, you know, and they freaking did it. Like Amin said, they came back and all of a sudden it's 24-24. Hey, we pulled it off, bro. Purdy out there with his legs. Freaking scrambling, the throw to Jawan Jennings, the throw to Juszczyk. I mean, even the throw to a Uke. People think like that was some kind of luck or yes, was it reminiscent of Lynn Swann back in the day in the 70s versus the Cowboys? Absolutely, it was reminiscent. But if he doesn't get bumped, that ball is probably right on the money. And just the will and just everything of even Purdy taking that shot and just all of it, bro. Man, what is up, Jay in the Bay? What's good?
What's good? Hey, man. Hey, glad to be on with you guys. Sorry for being tardy, but hey, hell of a game. We were definitely the benefactors of the Detroit Lions having a good old lemon booty. That's for sure. I'm stealing that from Guru from 95.7 the game. But hey, it's sometimes it's great to be lucky in life. And honestly, we made some plays on our end, no doubt, but there were definitely some plays that the Lions want back, several drops, going for it on fourth down when you clearly should have went for a field goal. So, hey, Niners are in the Super Bowl, and what a time to be alive. What a time to be a 49ers fan, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Well said, Jay. I thought Dan Campbell's aggressiveness definitely came back to bite him a couple times. Hey, you live with the aggression, you die with the aggression. Yeah. Although it was kind of contradictive because before half, he was not aggressive, right? Ball's at the 2-yard line. And I turned to, I'm talking to this random guy next to me, and I'm like, they're going for it. I'm like, this team's been going for it all year. And they bring out the field goal unit. And I thought, interesting. So conservative, maybe with an early decision. And then he was uber aggressive where he could have tacked on a couple field goals. That could have been the difference in the game.
Yeah, and Dan Campbell, they had been really aggressive during the regular season. They had been going for it a lot on fourth downs. And there's a saying in the NBA, for all my folks that love the NBA, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. That's what the Warriors did. It don't matter if you up 20, 25 points in the fourth quarter, you still gonna shoot the 3. And that's kind of like what the Lions did. They still wanted to be aggressive, and hey, you have to it didn't work out for them, fortunately for us. And obviously Purdy made a lot of plays. Reynolds dropped a few passes, especially on fourth down. Yeah, that was tough. Definitely tough for them.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, I do know I did hear some Lion fans who do still are okay with Dan Campbell and the decisions. They're like, hey, man, they're just like, hey, the number one thing that players want and most fans want is just being consistent. Just be consistent. And I know, like you said, Baller, earlier, he did take the field goal, but it's like Jay just said, you live by it, you die by it. So I have heard a lot of Lion fans that are just like, hey, I could live with that, man. He went out swinging the same way he went swinging to get us here. So, hats off to them, man. They gave us an amazing shot in the first half, and then they played Journey. And and it was a wrap from there.
Whoever booked Journey, hey, they deserve I don't know, $1 million raise, like, for booking Journey. Don't stop leaving. Come on, man.
You know what?
And it's from Detroit, and and that song's from Detroit and about Detroit, right?
Wow.
Well, I don't. I've heard some contradicting statements about this, Kelch. Skip Bayless tweeted that, but then apparently, I don't know, the writers from California. I might have to dig a little deeper into that Journey song. I miss Journey, like I said earlier.
Baller, you seriously went to the bathroom when you knew Journey was gonna be there? You just had to go to the bathroom.
Had to go to the bathroom, long line, and then I had to get a little pepperoni pizza action halftime. By the time you come with that, halftime's over.
Yeah.
So that was about it. But why don't we go to, and part of my voice, I don't know how my voice sounds, but man, I felt like I left it out there at the field yesterday. I was cheering my tail off, so I might be a little hoarse, whatever it is. But why don't we go to offensive standouts, and we're going to kick it to the young buck, Amin the Dream. Who stood out to you offensively?
I appreciate you kicking it to me, but I'm going to kick it to Jay because Jay just hopped on. I want to give him an opportunity, so I'm going to kick it to Jay. I appreciate that, Baller, but I'm going to kick it to Jay.
So, yeah, offensive standout. I mean, for me, it's no question. It's got to be BP. It's got to be Brock Purdy. He was instrumental in getting us back. I have to be honest. At halftime, I still thought there was a chance. It really depended on what we did in the first few drives in the third quarter. And Brock Purdy made some exceptional plays. He made some exceptional throws. The scramble plays, I think he had 3 scrambles that really got us in great position. I think there was one, I think he ran for like 16, 17 yards. He ran in the back of Debo. But that play ended up going, I think we were at the 4-yard line after that play. But Brock Purdy, he was able to make plays with his legs. I thought the offensive line, I don't know how you guys feel, but the offensive line, I felt as far as from a pass blocking perspective, the playoffs has been shoddy to me. It seems like every time Purdy goes back to throw, he's not able to get his all into his throws. Sometimes he's throwing off of his back foot. We already know that, Purdy, doesn't have a super strong arm, but I just felt like he had to make those plays based on what the offensive line presented to him. And he made those plays. And the defense was not expecting it. And so I have to give it to Purdy. The stat line, I mean, it wasn't great. He's had better stat lines than what he had in the game yesterday. But the stats really, it counted. We needed all of his 267 passing yards. He was only 20 of 31. But we needed every last bit of it. And kudos to Brock Purdy. People say, "Oh, well, we got to see what he can do when we're down." And clearly against the Packers, we weren't down enough points because people were still complaining about that. But to be down 24-7, to be the maestro, if you will, orchestrating drives down the field. For me, it's got to be Brock Purdy.
I feel you on that.
Hey, I want to piggyback off of that. I've seen an interesting stat. It looks like from a reliable source. Someone could fact check it if you want to, but from what I've seen on Twitter, man, someone put up in the second half, Brock Purdy, he threw for 150 plus yards, ran for 45 plus yards, completed 80%, averaged 10 yards per rushing attempt and no turnovers. Was the only time that's ever been done in the past 30 years in NFL history. So it just like sometimes you see things like just Allen put up 4 touchdowns, but he had the one pick that was that really costly, timely pick. And it just watching that in the second half in the NFC Championship game, last pick of the draft, all the narratives and all the stuff, you could feel like people just wanting him to fold or waiting for him to fold. And he didn't light it up on the stat sheet, but man, talk about clutch. Like, I mean, he's undefeated in the playoffs in games where he started and finished. I mean, it doesn't get no more clutch than that for the opportunities he's had. And, if I'm rolling with the quarterback right now, just like I said earlier in the season, me and Jay talked about this, I'm sure I mentioned a few more when me and Jay were talking about it. But besides Pat Mahomes in crunch time, I'm picking Brock Purdy, man. It's just, why not? I'm the type of person, I'm not going to wait to I don't need to see more and more and more. I'm going to say how I really feel in the moment. I don't need 3 years or 5 years. If I see it, I'm going to say it when I feel it. And if I'm wrong, I really don't care, man. I'm going to just be me about it. You feel me? But offensive standouts, I want to say, hey, there's some amazing plays all around the board. I want to go to Ayuk, but just when I do look at the stat sheet, hey, Debo, it feels like he stayed involved the entire game. With the amount of targets, the amount of receptions, he was just like steady through the game, and he obviously makes a difference. Blue True, what's up? Amazing win. Congratulations, Niner Empire Super Bowl bound. Yes.
Appreciate you, Blue True.
Yes, we're in it. We're in it, boys. Like, we're in it, fellas. Like, hey, we're in it to win it. Man. Just amazing, man. Yeah, Juice check, man. I could go Purdy all day, but Juice check, for Purdy, how many different game-changing plays did Purdy make? I mean, it feels like he made 3 or 4 game-changing, elusive plays with the arm. He made 3 or 4 elusive, game-changing plays with the leg, with his mind, with his heart, with all of it, all the intangibles that's never really talked about, man. It's like this stuff. I think it was Michael Jordan who said it's 80% mental, man. And I look at it, if it feels like it's trending toward a Steph Curry effect. Before Steph Curry, no one was shooting a lot of threes. Now the whole NBA is shooting threes. Now you got 5-year-olds shooting threes with faith. Like, I can be the next Steph Curry. He ain't the tallest dude. He ain't the biggest, the strongest. I feel like something similar could happen with Brock Purdy. If he wins the Super Bowl, there's gonna be kids across the whole America, bro. Like, he ain't that tall, he ain't that fast, he ain't that strong. I could be the next dang Purdy because of faith and hard work. You know what I'm saying? And it's just amazing. But Debo, big props, juice check, Purdy, amazing, man. Just all across the board.
Love that, Couch. I loved how you mentioned Debo because that's who it felt like when I was in the stands. Felt like who shifted the game in that third quarter. Debo coming out of halftime, he just caught a couple. They were short, but Debo does what he does: makes the guy miss, runs the guy over, makes the guy miss. Next, you know, it's a 30-yard chunk play that really gets the crowd going, gets the team pumped up. It felt like Debo had these momentum shifting plays in that third quarter, which that third quarter, guys, it was insane. Just how well that third quarter went. And as for Brock Purdy, he would not let the Niners lose. He was going to do whatever it took to walk away with a win. Yeah, there's pressure around me. I'm going to squeeze through a tiny gap through the hole. Boom, I'm gone. I'm a run. Brock Purdy, he really didn't run that much this year, fellas. We know, we've talked about how quick he is. We know about the 10-yard split, but he really didn't utilize his legs as much as I think he could, but he did yesterday. So I think that really bodes well, not only for the Super Bowl, but going forward into his future. Like, now Brock, hey, you know what? I can run. I can make a guy miss and get 15, 20 yards on a scramble. So Brock,
save the best for last.
He was so freaking gutsy. He would not let this team lose. So great call. Debo was awesome. Use check, like you said, Couch, couple of awesome catches. You know, Jawan only had the one catch, but man, it was a nice one, all one-handed, fully extended. So, you know, and then McCaffrey, while I don't think the offensive line was that great in terms of run blocking, I didn't see some big holes, some obvious holes for CMC to get through. That being said, you know, CMC may do. He ran for what was blocked. I felt like he got what he could. He fought, got into the end zone. Amin, who do you want to hit on? Maybe did we miss anybody?
I mean, y'all pretty much, you know, covered most of it, pretty much all of it. But I'm gonna touch back on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's in his second year, and like, just think about that for a second. In his second year, Dak Prescott hasn't made the NFC Championship game yet. Lamar Jackson hasn't made it to a Super Bowl yet. Has made it to the NFC Championship game, still hasn't won it yet. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that haven't even made the NFC Championship game, and yet we talk about other quarterbacks, calling them elite quarterbacks and things like that. Brock Purdy in his second year has made it to back-to-back NFC Championship games, and in his one NFC Championship game that he was fully healthy and fully played through, he made it to the Super Bowl, not to mention being down by 17, and to not be mentally phased coming out of halftime, and to come out and do what he did, made plays using his legs in crucial situations, picking up first downs, extending drives, using his arms to, you know, obviously that pass to Kyle Juszczyk, like, he made plays when it mattered. And what fans expected from Lamar Jackson yesterday in the AFC Championship game is what Brock Purdy did. He used his legs when he needed to. He made plays. He extended plays by using his legs to escape the pocket, finding guys open downfield. He made plays when it mattered. And everybody was like, Brock Purdy, all last week, Brock Purdy's the weak link of the 49ers. He's the weak link of the 49ers. He's the reason why the 49ers won't win a Super Bowl. Well, season on the line, Brock Purdy didn't fold. He didn't deflate. Brock Purdy elevated. And honestly speaking, if you had another quarterback in there, if you had Sam Darnold or whoever in there, I don't think we're sitting up here talking about the Niners making it to the Super Bowl, because Brock Purdy was that integral in helping us win that game yesterday with the plays that he made when it mattered. So Brock Purdy, this whole narrative of Brock Purdy's the weak link of the 49ers, he's not all that. No, he took care of business. Now, you could say some of it was luck, like the Ayuk pass, but I think they called pass interference on that play, and Ayuk kind of got caught up. But that was on the money also, right? Like, that's what a lot of people are saying. That was on the money. But, like, he made plays when it matters, and that's what matters at the end of the day. You could, you know, start off the game a little cold, but when the game is on the line, when it matters, if you're going out there and you're hitting your 3-pointers, you're hitting your shots, and you're making big time plays in big situations for your team, that's what matters. I mean, Ayuk, that drive in the third quarter where Ayuk obviously made that phenomenal catch bouncing off the Lions defender, that touchdown throw in between two Lions defenders, Brock Purdy got it in between both of those guys. Ayuk made the catch, but that's a freaking not even just a great throw, but that's a gutsy throw by Brock Purdy. Not a lot of second-year quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game being down are willing to make that throw because that's a risky throw. That could end up, being a turnover or going the other way. Yet Brock Purdy's like, frick that. I'm going to do me. I'm going to play backyard football. I'm going to sling it. I'm going to live with it. And like Michael Jordan said it. Not Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant said it. He's like, one thing that he said, Babe Ruth had this quote where he's like, I swing big and I miss big. And I'm going to live with that outcome, right? Like, at the end of the day, like Kobe Bryant said, if I game on the line, if I shoot the shot, there's two results at the end of it. Either I make it or I miss it. But if I don't shoot it, then I don't know the result. And Brock Purdy, most of the time, especially yesterday when he needed to, he freaking shot the shot and it ended up working for the 49ers. So credit to Brock Purdy, credit to Ayuk for making that phenomenal catch, credit to Debo being hurt, still finishing as the Niners' leading receiver yesterday. I think he finished with like 8 catches.
Hey, he didn't look hurt. He didn't look hurt.
8 catches, 90 yards. He freaking did his thing. I mean, overall, this Niners team is freaking special. Keyshawn Johnson, what happened about, I want to see this Niners team being down 30-plus points or whatever and coming back? That wasn't big enough, a big enough deficit. Like, NFC Championship game being down 17. Like, I think that's a pretty good deficit to come back from.
How far has Keyshawn Johnson gotten? How far is that, man?
I think he won a Super Bowl with Tampa. I'm not sure I'm not 100%.
Oh yeah,
sure,
he might have been on that team. Huh?
That Tampa team, but I don't know. I think he left it. I don't know if he left the Tampa team that year before because he had issues with Gruden, or it was after the Super Bowl. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, he Brock Purdy has made so many folks irrelevant, man. Their opinions. Hey, we all have opinions. But when you're getting that bold on a national stage like ESPN, he's making a lot of these goofs look irrelevant. You feel me? It's like, who would have thought Mr. Irrelevant is making all these other dudes Mr. Irrelevant? It's ironic. It's hella dope, man.
Oh, yes, sir. We got a little Niners fan in the background. Jay, we got a little junior Niners fan in the background.
I didn't even see. I missed it. Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Gang, Niner gang. Hey,
Hey.
Yee.
got it.
Oh, your mic, bro.
Love it.
Mike.
He pulled your cord out.
Oh, yeah. I got to raise him right. Got a young Niner fan coming up. But I just want to say what's good is everyone that's in the chat, everyone that's here celebrating with us right now. We got one more game to go, but just appreciate everyone that's tuning in and saying what's up in the chat. Appreciate it.
Hey, the chat is live and we will be pulling up comments. So make sure you're sharing your thoughts because we love to bring the audience in with us. And while you're here, hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed to all 4 of us. Hey, let's get this thing popping. So we hit on the offense. Why don't we flip it to the defensive side of the ball? And, I don't know how much good happened defensively in the first half. No, nothing's really coming to mind. But, hey, second half, some things cleaned up. Kelts, I'm going to kick it to you, defensively in this game. Who are the playmakers?
Hey, if I don't toot my own horn, who will? Especially in these Twitter streets and the YouTube streets. It's you against the wolves, But last week I said Dre Greenlaw is going to get his first interception, and he doubled it up. He doubled it up with 2. This week, I made my next bold prediction. I said Bosa would get 2 sacks, not 1.5, not 2.5, not 0.5. I said he would get 2 sacks. I said Jair Brown would get his first interception or playoff interception. He didn't do that, but hey, man, he had a hell of a game. I thought he did. And then I also said there will be multiple Niners that will be smacking CJ Gardner-Johnson, and there might not have been multiple, but I mean, CMC stiff arm, I think, accounted for multiple Niners smacking CJ Gardner Johnson. His wave, that was just him smacking himself. So hey man, my predictions came like Jay and the Bay would say, came to fruition. And man, hey, Bosa got back on track, man. Yeah, man. Besides that, man, I can't wait for Step Your Game Up so I could get the chase. But hey, anyways, hit it up, Jay.
Hey man, this defense was it was hard to watch. I didn't know who that was in the first half. This 49ers defense were, allowing huge chunks of yards in the running game. I think what's his name? The big back. His name is escaping me. David Montgomery. He averaged 6 yards a carry against us. Had the one touchdown. But it's weird. He only finished with 15 carries in the game, which is weird. You would think they would want to. You have a lead. Maybe you should run the ball in the second half, but fortunately they didn't. Obviously, Tayshaun Gibson had the big forced fumble that completely flipped the game in the second half. That was a huge momentum shift in the game. I think the Niners had just scored a touchdown. And then the Lions got the ball back. Gibbs, who's a fantastic player, he's got a bright future ahead of him. Very good running back. We saw what he did against us, and in previous games, he's just got speed for days. But ball security is key, and Tayshaun Gibson made him pay. And kudos to Eric Armstead, who didn't really show up in the stat sheet that much, but he recovered that fumble, and that was huge for us. So, I think Tayshaun Gibson. I mean, without that, the game could have completely been different. It could be Detroit going to the Super Bowl without that play. So I'm going to give it to Tayshaun Gibson for my defensive standout.
That's a good one, Jay. I got to be honest. On that play, that was one of the few runs where we finally hit someone at the line of scrimmage or behind. So I didn't even see the ball pop out because I just saw us finally make a tackle around the line of scrimmage and limited gain. So I'm celebrating, we stopped the run. I'm trying to, and then they're like, no, ball's loose. And I'm looking at it. So that was awesome. Huge momentum shifting play. Shout out to Tayshaun Gibson. He also had a nice pass breakup on Laporta. Laporta looked like he had caught a ball over the middle, and then Gibson came, popped him, ball comes loose. And I believe that kind of stymied that drive for Detroit. So absolutely good call with Tayshaun Gibson. Who wants to hit the defense up next?
It's on you, I mean.
Tayshaun Gibson, I mean, that hit on Laporta that you mentioned, Baller, that was a really clean hit. I thought the ref might throw a flag on that one because, the refs sometimes, they be throwing it a little bit sometimes, but that was a freaking phenomenal hit. Logan Ryan also, I thought he came in and played a couple of snaps at cornerback, coming off, he was, I think, on a cruise a couple of weeks ago and coming out and playing some snaps in a meaningful playoff game for the 49ers. I thought, he deserves a shout out. Nick freaking Bosa, I'm not going to lie, I thought the pressures were great, but I was a little bit hard on you throughout the season because I expected more, but this is when we need you to step up. This is when we're paying you your quarterback money. And what did Nick Bosa do? He came out and he had 2 sacks. He got multiple pressures in there. Nick Bosa freaking did his thing in the biggest game of the season, arguably the biggest game of the season, the NFC Championship game. He went out and he did his thing. Props to Nick Bosa. I don't know if we would be sitting here winning this game without Nick Bosa and freaking Brandon Ayuk offensively and Nick Bosa defensively. Those 2 guys were probably the MVPs of yesterday with how well they played and how they made, when it matters, they stepped up and they made plays. Eric Armstead and Hargrave, it was like a 4th and 3 or something like that. They got pressure, interior pressure, which was huge. Forced Goff on the run. Goff threw it. Amon-Ra either slipped and he kind of underthrew the ball. Turnover. Niners get the ball back. Interior pressure by Hargrave and Eric Armstead, which was huge, even though he didn't show up on the stat sheet that much. Defensively, I mean, first half it was ugly. I was about to go on and tweet fire Steve Wilkes, get this man out of here. I don't know what we were doing in the first half. And even credit to the Lions, honestly, credit to the Lions with their game plan. Ben Johnson, he's probably going to be a head coach this year, but credit to their game plan, especially offensively in the first half, getting the ball out quickly, the running the football. I mean, what they did offensively was freaking phenomenal offensively to watch. And credit to Jared Goff. Jared Goff coming out in this game, I thought he's going to have a couple of interceptions. I thought he was going to fold under pressure. I'm not a huge fan of Jared Goff. I thought he was going to fold a little bit. And Jared Goff came out and he didn't throw a pick. And for the most part, he played a pretty clean game. And he gave receivers opportunities to make plays. Like Josh Reynolds, couple of third downs, fourth downs. He put it there and you straight up freaking dropped it. Like Jared Goff, I am going to give props to Jared Goff because I didn't think he was going to play a good game yesterday. And he ended up not having an interception and played as good of a game that you could have yesterday. Dan Campbell and his over-aggressiveness might have hurt them a little bit, but I respect Dan Campbell for the fact that he's willing to make those risky plays in certain situations, like the Cowboys game that he did. Now, would Kyle Shanahan do that, or would most coaches do that, like for that Cowboys game, or even in the game yesterday, for example? No, but do I respect the fact that he's willing to take those risks? And when most coaches in the league probably would take the safer route, I do respect that because he does have the guts to end up making, calling those risky calls, which most coaches wouldn't do. And that's been Detroit's identity this whole entire year, which is being aggressive, even when necessarily the analytics or, most coaches wouldn't, or the analytics would suggest otherwise. Dan Campbell says, frick the analytics, and most of the time he is sometimes aggressive. They call fake punts this year multiple times in numerous games this year. So I respect Dan Campbell for being aggressive. I think the Lions have a freaking phenomenal coach in Dan Campbell. But in a way, I would say he kind of gave the Niners the game a little bit because on 4th and 3, 4th and 2, like you're better off kicking a field goal in those instances. No matter how bad your kicker is, like give your kicker an opportunity, and if you didn't trust your kicker that much, you might not want it to have him on the team, especially in the playoffs. But this defense in the first half wasn't great, but props to the defense, Nick Bosa, to come out and make the second half.
Wasn't great. The defense was awful.
It wasn't great. And honestly speaking,
embarrassing.
It has to be better, but it has to be better against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But for what they did in the second half compared to what it was in the first half, there was obviously some improvement coming out in the second half, right? Because if they went out and played like they did in the first half, it would have been ugly. But I don't know why Detroit offensively completely abandoned the run and started being too pass heavy.
But what did they do? What did they do in the second half? Like the major thing I noticed in the second half, like I told y'all last week, hey, come out the gates and just set the tone with a couple of blitzes. Come out the first half. I see Gibson blitzing off the left, Jair blitzing off the right. They were switching it, but back-to-back plays. Got a safety coming from one side on one play, safety coming from the other on another play. I don't know all the other guys who were blitzing, but, those little timely blitzes, I would have to go back and watch it on the 2 sacks that Bosa got. But it wouldn't surprise me if there were blitzes on those plays. You got to.
There was on one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Dre Greenlaw blitzed, and actually Penei Sewell initially was going to block Bosa, but they teach it you want to block the innermost blitzer because Greenlaw had a free rush. So Penei Sewell kind of left Bosa to pick up Greenlaw because he was coming in the C gap. Anyway, you're right. The blitz did create a sack.
Sideline Steve was having flashbacks like he was up in the booth on the first half, and then he found himself. He collected himself, and he said, he pulled a little bit of a Dan Campbell and said, "Hey, I got to shoot the shot." Dude, they were dicing.
I thought they brought D'Amico back for the second half. I thought they brought D'Amico back for the second half or something like that. I'm like, yo, what's up with the second half? Like the adjustments, like it was better. It was overall a better second half. I thought they brought D'Amico back in the second half for a second.
And you mentioned
they were even tearing our zone up too, man. It was not just the run game, but they were. Goff was, shredding us, shredding our zone, man. It was just guys were wide open left and right. Yee. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, you mentioned sideline Steve, and coming into the game, I was thinking, well, okay, how are we going to? And we talked about in last week's show, how are we going to guard Amon-Ra St. Brown? Will Ambry Thomas guard him? If Ambry's getting roasted, and kudos to Ambry. I don't think he had a penalty in the game. So, hey, shout out to Ambry. But how would we adjust? And what I wanted to see, obviously, we were getting shredded in the first and second quarter as far as their running game. So I wanted to see, well, will Wilkes bring another man in the box? So Wilkes did, I noticed on several plays, bring where we had like 8, 9 guys in the box to try to slow down the run. I was thinking, well, will we add another defensive lineman? I think we've only done that like one game this year, but maybe against Pacheco and the Chiefs, you might want to add another defensive lineman, or at least start off with 9 guys in the box, because I'm not really. They got Kelsey, they got Rice.
Just to make them think twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see that many playmakers on the Chiefs side. So I think you got to slow down the run game. But it was good to see Wilkes at least make some adjustments in the first half. They didn't really work, but at least he was trying to switch it up. And then in the second half, the momentum just shifted totally. And the Niners defense was playing, like we expect them to.
No doubt. To round it out on the defensive standouts, you guys hit on the guys I wanted to touch on. Nick Bosa, Tayshaun Gibson with the 2 big plays. Fred Warner, I thought, was flying around. I did see him miss maybe a tackle or 2 where it looked like he could have got Gibbs on one. I think it was on that touchdown run. But other than that, I thought Fred Warner was awesome. And, how about Charvarius Ward? I don't really remember him doing too much, but when I did look at Mooney Ward, I don't know if he got targeted. I thought his coverage was so sticky that Goff, or maybe he's got this reputation that he's building as an all-pro now, that quarterbacks might not want to throw at him. That's how good he is. I thought there was some of that. I thought Mooney Ward, when I did glance over at him, at corner, I thought Mooney Ward was sticky. So that rounds out the defensive standouts. But next on the agenda, a Celt's favorite, step your game up. Who went out there, didn't perform up to expectations? Come Super Bowl, they need to step their game up. Jay, you got anyone on this one who?
Absolutely. And I'll start off with an entire unit. It's the interior of our defensive line. I mean, I didn't really hear much of Javon Hargrave. I think Amid mentioned earlier he had a few pressure, but in the run game, he's nowhere to be found. Eric Armstead, we love you. You're one of the longest tenure 49ers, but where were you yesterday? I know you got the recovered fumble. That's great. But in the run game, they were just getting pushed around. Kinlaw, Givens, I think we need not, I think the effort is there. We just need the production. Like, they need to occupy blocks so that way the linebackers can run free, and that way we can gain tackle and we can not allow the running back to get to the second level. Once the running back gets to the second level and then the offensive linemen are already blocking the linebackers, I mean, that's why you get those big chunk plays. So I think the interior of the defensive line's got to be better. I don't know if you add another defensive lineman, start off the game with 5 defensive linemen. If you bring in 9 guys in the box, whatever you got to do. But it's just got to be better. I mean, Pacheco, we've all seen Pacheco. This guy, I'm a fan of him. Won't be a fan of him in 2 weeks, but I just love the way he runs. He runs hard. He's not shy about contact. And he's going to make some plays on Sunday, and the Niners just have to be prepared. You got to be better. Maybe they can mix it up with some early blitzes, as Kelts mentioned, but we just can't let Pacheco get to like that third level, because he can definitely outrun our secondary. So
hell nah to the nah. Hey man, I'm having visions of watching Gray Greenlaw and Pacheco collide, man, and watch there be a moment like that. Those are 2 guys that ain't gonna back down versus nobody. And man, step your game up. Like Chase Young. Like, where the hell you at, bro? Hey, we brought you on over here. We brought you on over here, bro, with your best friend. You got all this newfounded motivation and what they got going over here, and you're in the biggest moment of your life on a Super Bowl right now team. And this is the effort that you put up on the field. I mean, there was at least 2 or 3 times where it's just it was noticeable, y'all. I don't know if y'all seen the clips, but it was just, I mean, he's halfway running to the tackle. Just, I mean, if he gave full effort, it looked like he could have fully made the tackle, and he just literally gave up. on a few plays, and it was
I definitely saw the Gibson run.
bro.
Not the Gibson run, the Gibbs run.
It was infuriating. It was like what are you doing, bro? Like,
You
where
could
are
see
you at?
Javon Kinlaw,
Where are you
who's
at?
like
Literally,
carrying a whole
bro. It's like
extra body, and Javon Kinlaw was sprinting his
what are
big
you
butt over there.
thinking?
And
Like,
then
are you even
Chase Young was
thinking?
just
Like, is he just having mental lapses? It's almost like unbelievable. Lightweight. Like, I don't want to just, and it's not about crapping on him, hating on him, but it's like, bro, you're getting paid millions to play a kid's game. Like, put your heart on the line.
You know
like,
what it is, Celts?
what is it?
Some players, they're just not wired like that.
Yeah.
They're not wired like that to
Yeah.
go, if it's in basketball, to hit the glass every time a ball goes up. In this case, in football, it's to chase the ball that, isn't really in your area, but you're supposed to chase that anyway. In case the running back makes a cut, comes back towards your direction, you're already there.
I noticed
he ain't wired like that.
I noticed my son in basketball. Sometimes when the ball's going up, sometimes I would catch him looking at the ball, and he puts everything on. But it was that was more. He had to be taught, like in those instances where you want to like just watch and look and not. I was like, bro, the second that ball goes up, start looking for who you need to box out and back out, like. And the next game, bro, he was on it because he was like, damn, I didn't even think about that. Like, he seen it on tape and was like, oh, yeah, no. Like, yeah, nah, that ain't like, I don't even want to represent myself that way. He's playing high school basketball.
Well, he picked up on it. But like James Wiseman, when he was here, shot goes up. He's
Same
ball
shit.
watching. It never clicked. With some guys, it doesn't click. Hopefully,
Chase, you better get it together for the Super Bowl, bro.
That's all. So.
Or Steve Wilkes, Kyle Shanahan, whatever you got to do, because I'm sure a Givens will step in and give it his all. And I seen Logan Bryan. He kind of held up last week on a couple. And then when he did come into this game, I didn't see him hold up on nothing. I was like, yes, like to Mean's point. Like, I was looking to see what effort he was going to put on because of last week. And he did the opposite. Like, oh, no, I ain't putting that back out on tape. And props to Logan Bryan, Chase Young. Hey, give it your all, bro. Hey, if you're not, just come on, man.
Hey, y'all got to give Chase Young a break, man. After the game, he was interviewed. He said he was tired and he was going home to sleep. That's what Chase Young says. So y'all got to give him a break.
Tired of doing what?
Hey, yeah, like I feel like the plays that you guys
don't give no passes about out here, Jay.
No. To the no, yeah, to the no.
Clearly, I'm joking, but the plays that I've seen, I mean, he did have 3 tackles yesterday. All of them were solo. He did have a tackle for loss. It feels like the plays that you guys are talking about is when the play is not going to his side. So let's say it goes towards Bosa's side, and the player is running, outside the numbers. Nah, I don't think Chase Young is going to sprint over there. That's not who he is. But
you're supposed to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you should. Now, okay, question is, if Wilkes and Shanahan see that, why is he still out there?
They better be
someone else in.
Hey, we have 2 weeks of media session.
Right.
For the Grant Cohns of the world, and I'm disappointed in some of the media and not Grant Cohn, because he's one of those guys who'll ask what the hell he thinks, but some of the other questions is like, man, let's talk about more football, man. I don't want to get into it because I don't
softball questions. Too many.
You mean Celts? Are you saying you don't want to know what type of toppings George Kittle likes on his ice cream? You don't want to know that, man?
Only on Thanksgiving, man. That's the only exception. On Thanksgiving, it's okay to ask some of those questions, but like, man, let's get into some football. Hey, 49er media, ask the questions. Kyle Shanahan or Steve Wilkes, do you talk like don't keep it lit? Don't ask them, do you notice his lack of effort? Be like, hey, have you talked to Chase Young about his lack of effort? I've seen it on tape. I know that y'all watch the tape, because then that'll even be admitting their fault. Oh, I haven't seen that. Well, then you haven't looked at the tape, Steve Wilkes, all the way through, because us average people, fans, we see it. It's all over. Hey, I know you want to protect your men. You want to protect the room. You want to protect the brand, the logo, your brothers. But Chase Young isn't protecting, he isn't doing his job. and you at the very minimum got to give full effort. Period. You're making millions, man. Come on.
That's one thing. No, Kels, like that's one thing that you have control over. Like I remember, like when I play basketball also, like and like that's one thing that my uncles and like my parents be telling me. They're like, you can't control if you're gonna make all your shots or if what other players are gonna do on your team. But the one thing that you have control over is the effort, the amount of effort that you put into it, how much effort that you put into it, how badly that you want to win a game, and most of that comes from the effort that you put out on the court or on the field. Chase Young just doesn't. He's just not putting it yet. Like and it's not even just yesterday. It's been for the last couple of weeks. We've been sitting there. We're like, do y'all think Chase Young isn't trying? Because that's what it looks like. And I'm sorry, and this might be a hot take, but I don't want Chase Young back next year. Even if I get him on a 1 year, $6 million deal or whatever the case might be, team friendly deal. Because if I'm a young guy seeing that, and if I'm a young guy on the 49ers seeing that, what does that tell you? Like as a young guy on the 49ers and you see Chase Young doing that, two things that would, at least if I was a young guy on the 49ers, that would tell me that if you're a talented player, quote unquote talented player like Chase Young, you don't necessarily have to give full effort and you could still be on that football field. But like seeing that's just a bad example for the rest of the guys, for the young guys in the locker room, and not even for the young guys, but for your teammates also, that you're letting them down because they're fighting. They want this. I know Fred Warner is giving his 10,000% out there on every play, every tackle, every snap. I know he's giving his all out there. I know Nick Bosa and those guys are giving it their all out there. And Chase Young, on the other hand, literally Jahmyr Gibbs went right by him and his arm went like, it's like almost like basketball. Like, when like someone like gets right back by you with like a crossover instead of trying to snatch your ball or trying to get in front of him, you just let him go by you and move, like put your hand out to see if you try to steal the ball, but you're not really moving your body. Like, it's one of those situations. I'm like, Chase, like, you're there and you got to put at least a little bit more effort. That's one thing that you have control over is your effort, and the lack of effort from Chase Young, not only this week, but the last couple of weeks. And this is the freaking playoffs. Like, this is the freaking playoffs. This is when we need your max effort. I don't know if I want him starting in the Super Bowl. Honestly, I don't know if I want him starting in the Super Bowl because I know I could say this confidently. I know a guy like Robert Beal Jr. will give me his 110% going out there in the Super Bowl, and he will hustle on every play, where I can't guarantee that with Chase Young. No matter how talented Chase Young is, no matter how much more experienced Chase Young is, I can't rely on Chase Young to go out there and give me his 100%, and that's a problem.
I don't ever see Randy Gregory slacking on his macking, so I mean,
get someone else in there. Like if you're not giving your 100%, get someone else in there. Like I like, you can't have that, especially, and like in the regular season, it's whatever, right? Like as much as we don't like it, but it was the freaking NFC Championship game, dude. You were already down at home, and you were down, and that's the effort that we get from you.
Another thing is Chase doesn't even play 100% of the snaps, so there's no excuse there.
There's no excuse.
But from a coaching perspective, either you coach it or you allow it. So clearly they're allowing Chase to play like this. So I say it's not even Chase's fault right now. It's the coach's fault. You need to sit him down, put someone else in there. But I doubt that'll happen. I don't think they're going to bring up Bill and bench for the Super Bowl.
Or even Gregory. But like regardless, you can't have him out there doing that in the Super Bowl. Like, if you're doing that in the NFC Championship game, what that tells me is that, seriously speaking, it's not that Chase Young isn't wired that way. I personally think it's Chase Young just doesn't care. Like, if the play is going to him, cool. If the play is on his side, cool. But, like, even watching Chase Young on his pass rush moves.
That reminds me of Jimmy.
It's this, like, power rush that he does. And if it doesn't work and he kind of gets stumped a little bit, I don't see him trying to push even more and trying to create more pressure. Even if the ball's in the quarterback's hand, if he doesn't get it on the initial power rush or bull rush, he kind of stops. And it's like, and I'm like watching it, I'm like that's not, it's like whatever. And I'm like, Chase Young, watching that, it's not that you're not wired that way. It's just that you don't care. And that was the reports coming out of Washington when we traded for him. And even when we traded for him, people were like, you guys traded a third round for Chase Young, and the Bears traded a second for Montez Sweat, but Chase Young is better. Well,
then you'd have to pay Montez Sweat.
I'm not saying bring in Montez Sweat because I know you would have to pay him, but I'm saying is that like the people were like, "Oh, isn't Chase Young better than Montez Sweat?" Regardless, if contracts aside, no, he isn't. Montez Sweat is better than Chase Young. Look at the numbers of what he did with the Bears. Obviously, I'm not saying bring in a Montez Sweat because of the contract. I don't think the Niners would have done that. But Chase Young, is he really been that much of a difference maker? I can't really say that confidently. I think Randy Gregory and some of the other guys have pretty much had the same impact. Now, does Chase Young make certain plays because he is talented? Yeah, he does. I expect him to, but Chase Young, the lack of effort is honestly concerning. And if you pull that crap in the Super Bowl, I don't care if Kyle Shanahan or Chris Kosaric or Steve Wilkes doesn't bench him. I will be livid. I will be livid because I expect more from you. The team expects more from you. Forget about us. I know Chase Young doesn't care about us, but your teammates expect more from you because your teammates relying on you, right? And as long as everybody's doing their job, if one person isn't doing their job and you're lacking and you don't even care that you're lacking, that's a problem. That's a major problem because your teammates hold you accountable and you yourself should hold yourself accountable. And if you're not doing that and you don't care, that's a problem.
Yeah, we shouldn't be talking about this after an NFC Championship game. There should not be one thing about effort. Like,
Yeah. I'm gonna move off the Chase Young topic, but I think he picked up some bad habits in Washington. And that being said, I'm not blaming the coaching staff. I guarantee you they're pointing this out on film. Whether he was tired, that's not an excuse. But I don't know who I'm putting out there. Like, I feel like I agree with the coaches. I'm probably still rolling out Chase Young, hoping he's going to turn it around, as opposed to, a rookie Robert Beal or, it's like Randy Gregory's already playing. I mean, Gregory's already playing. What are you going to play? Gregory and Bosa 100% of the snaps?
Yeah.
You can't.
You're right.
You can't do it. So you got to work in some guys. Barrett, is it Alex Barrett, who's like, I think we called up from our practice squad. Like, you want to see him out there at this moment? Like, I'm not pushing back on the coaches. That being said, Chase Young, let's go, man. Step your game up.
Real talk. I did want to talk about because one thing I was all right. Like,
sorry, Kels. I've had the super chat up here. I gotta acknowledge HR with the $10. HR, appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. He said, "What is the right way to smoke on that Chiefs pack?" I'm thinking peace pipe. You know what, HR? When in doubt, throw it in the backwood. Throw it in the backwood. Hey, appreciate you stopping by.
Without a backwood, it ain't all that good. Straight up.
That's very Vallejo of you, Kels. That was so Vallejo of you right there.
Without a back. Okay. But I like Jay in the Bay reminds me of, I got to give respect to the opposition when it comes to our defensive line, because I was throwing fits over here on the couch. Man, they are imposing their will. Look, Kyle Shanahan. Look what it looks like when you invest in your offensive line. I started doing research mid-game. Man, what are the draft picks on the offensive line for the Lions? So I learned they got 3 first-round draft picks. They got pick number 7 in Penne, pick number 7. One of the other dudes picked number 16 in the first round. Other dude picked number 20 in the first round. The other 2 guys were 3rd-round picks. And I'm just like, okay, well, shit, no wonder why. I don't know the Detroit Lions offensive line, but I do now. They're all, they put a lot of investment on that side. We put a lot of investment on our side. And their guys are better than our guys right now. Hey, man, we still won the game. They picked it up at the end. Timely blitzes. It's a water under the bridge, as some like to say, but hey, man, we got to give respect to the offensive. Hey, the Detroit Lions might have the best offensive line in the game right now. And then Amin made me think when he was talking about something. Bosa being the major reason and Ayuk being the major reason. As you were saying that, you were talking about Goff, and I was like, man, that feels like the biggest reason. What Goff is able to do when he hits that back foot and it's not there, it's like Goff don't know what to do. It's reminiscent of Jimmy G. When Purdy hits that back foot and it ain't there, we seen how many times he was able to change the game. So it's like you see when one quarterback, is stuck in mud and doesn't, to have that clutch gene to improvise and do those things. And then you obviously see what Purdy did when he was able to uh change the game with playmaking ability. Like Warner said, he managed the crap out of that game.
And I want to touch on Jake Moody real quick, baller. Like, I'm gonna make this short, but like, I'm nervous going into the Super Bowl, man. Like, Jake Moody, if hypothetically speaking, if it was a closer game, which it was a close game all the way throughout yesterday, that Jake Moody field goal when we were 17-24, it would have been a 20-24 game, right? And obviously that fumble helped, but Jake Moody, you gotta hit your field goals, man. Like, you gotta hit your field goals. And the Lions are a different story, but if you go out and the Niners aren't converting touchdowns and Jake Moody's missing field goals, if the Chiefs go up like that, or they have some sort of a lead, a 10-point lead or something like that, and Jake Moody is missing field goals, if it's like like hypothetically, right? If the Chiefs go on, they score a touchdown, the Niners go down, and they get into field goal range, and Jake Moody misses a field goal, and you give the Chiefs the ball back. I don't like those situations because the Chiefs can capitalize on those. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, like, they've done it before. Those two guys freaking work magic. Jake Moody, you gotta hit your freaking field goals. You just have to. You have one job. Go out there and make a kick. You don't get tackled. You're not in on every play. Your body is not going through a bunch of crap like the regular guys, getting hit all the time. You got to make your kicks, please, for the love of God. In the Super Bowl, go out there all week. I don't care if you're out there for hours. Go out there and practice your kicks, because I can't have you in the Super Bowl going out there and missing 40-yard field goals. Like Robbie Gould, he couldn't hit from 50, right? But one thing I knew about Robbie Gould is that when it mattered, when we needed him to make the kick, he made the kick. When we needed him to, to step up and do his job, he did his job, even if he couldn't hit 50-yarders. Jake Moody can't even hit 40-yarders consistently. He's freaking missing PAT sometimes. Freaking be better, Jake Moody.
I feel you, Amin. And before the game, I was like, when Moody started warming up and practicing his kicks, I was excited because I was okay, I'm going to see what Jake Moody's got. And he actually looked good in the pregame warmups. Like, he hit all his kicks that I saw, with the exception of one, but it was like from the logo. Like, it had to have been at least close to 60. It was a bomb. That was the only one he missed. So I was thinking, man, all right, Jake's feeling good today. And then first kick in the game, wide right. So I agree with you, Amin. It is a concern. And I almost question, is Kyle Shanahan going to be quick to go back to him? Or if it's 4th and 3, would he rather go for that 4th and 3, or would he rather kick a 53-yard field goal? It'll be interesting.
But then you're put in the same predicament, right, Ball? You're put in the same predicament as the Lions, because the Lions didn't trust their field goal kicker, and that's a huge risk, because you should be able to rely on your kicker. Because compared to 3 points, I'd rather have those 3 points than have a 4th and 3, which is a huge risk, end up being a turnover when you could have gotten points up on the board, and that's a problem. I'm honestly, if I'm the Niners, I might be calling up free agent kickers, an experienced free agent kicker, because game on the line in the Super Bowl, in the biggest
right now.
I honestly don't care, because I said it before the playoffs started, brother. I said said Jake Moody could be the reason why the 49ers could end up losing a playoff.
Hell no, to the no. Yeah, to the no.
Hey, with Moody, right, it's all between the ears. With Moody, he can kick. The guy, it's not like he doesn't know how to kick. It's all between the ears. There's nothing you can really do. Like, can he talk to a psychiatrist? It doesn't matter if he kicks field goals 24 hours straight.
Listen, Jay,
it's not that he knows how to kick. It's in between the ears. Shanahan can't help him with that. It's just,
this is a means desperation. This is a means war.
Listen,
cry.
Jay, I don't care.
Get it done. I don't care.
I don't care if Jake Moody becomes freaking Justin Tucker. I'd rather have this Super Bowl win than have Jake Moody freaking miss field goal and PATs in freaking playoff games, which he's done in the NFC Championship game. And if he does that crap in the Super Bowl, and you're and it's like a 4th and 3, like Baller mentioned, and you are in a manageable field goal situation, and Jake Moody's missing kicks. That's huge. That's a huge when you can get
don't
points
allow
on the
it.
board.
Don't allow it to be 4th and 3. Don't let him
Hey.
lose the game for you. This
Hey,
is Shanahan. Don't allow. You see what he can do in the playoffs. He's inconsistent. We've all seen it. So don't allow him. Don't give him that opportunity. I mean,
But that's the thing, though. So is Shanahan's also inconsistent at times, and I'd rather get those 3 points because that's one thing I don't have to worry about Robbie Gould, because Robbie Gould, we said good as gold. I'd rather have that. I think Robbie Gould, in most part, I would say, is more consistent in the playoffs than Kyle Shanahan's decision making for the most part in the playoffs. And I'd rather have Kyle Shanahan make that easy decision where I'm going to send my field goal unit out to make a field goal. Let's get points on the board instead of Kyle Shanahan calling being overthinking and calling something where you're like, what are you doing on a 4th and 3? And it's a turnover because Kyle Shanahan does that. He overthinks. We've seen it time and time again where he overthinks in the playoffs. I really don't need Jake Moody missing field goals or even PATs for that matter in the Super Bowl.
Moody is a pro. He's got to do his job if he gets called up. If his number gets called, he's got to do his job.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's no way you can like switch it up with Chase Young or Moody, but I'm listening past like almost kind of what I feel like you're really saying to me, and it's a young fan who has had that door slammed in their face over and over and over. And my son, for example, was like, F the Niners for a minute, like this is some bull crap. I'm tired of this crap. You know what I'm saying? And you could say what you want, fake fool, this or that. Hey, my son was hurt to the core, especially 2019. I hear that same hurt. Like, hey, if it comes down to a last freaking field goal, could you imagine? I hate to look at the pessimistic side of it or the worst case scenario, but hey, let's tiptoe over there for a minute. Could you imagine Jake freaking Moody missing the game winner at the freaking end? Hey, sorry, chat. Sorry, faithful, to put it in the air like that. But when you're a young dude that has had, or even all of us, man, hey, we've went through some tough stuff. Crabtree in the corner, Sherman knocking the ball away, Ravens, Jaquaski Tart, Jimmy Garoppolo, just all of it, We have lost 5 NFC championship games, 4 divisional games, and 2 Super Bowls since the last time we won a Super Bowl. I mean, that's 9 major playoff games where the door has been slammed in our face. I know a meme wasn't alive for all of those, but I hear you, bro. I hear it, and we got to rock with what we got and just keep on freaking praying, especially for Moody and Chase Young.
Well said. Well said, Kels. Hey, shout out to Beto, Niner Sickness. He said, yo, Eric, how was the atmosphere at the stadium yesterday? I can imagine who was just crazy, particularly in the second half. Hey, second half was awesome. Stadium was loud and rocking. That being said, early in that game, not only did the Niners get punched in the jaw, felt like a lot of the fans around me too. When the Lions went down and scored on those 4 plays, it's almost like the fans took a blow because it was too quiet the next couple of possessions. I'm yelling at my section, make some noise. We got to get loud. That being said, when the Niners turned it on in that third quarter, really felt like a lot of the fan base also turned it on. So it was electric, especially in that second half. It was awesome. What a comeback. It was awesome.
I put out a tweet. I said, man, they're chanting Jared Goff. And I know Beto was being funny, but Beto said, man, I'm chanting Jared Goff from the couch. Beto, I know it was a joke. I will unblock you, but I had to set the tone with the block on that one. I never could have imagined in a million years I would ever block Beto. But the second I see, even in a joke, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. I will unblock you, my man. Much love, real talk.
You know what was funny? When the Niners were up 10 in that fourth quarter, another Jared Goff chant broke out. And it's like at this point, Niners have already swung the momentum, right? We're feeling pumped up. We can kind of feel a victory. A Jared Goff chant broke out. Shit. I joined them. I don't know if Niners fans started it, but here's the thing.
Where's the hell nah button? Where's the hell nah button?
I thought the Niners, I thought we started it, to be honest, to kind of like troll them because they had been chanting Jared Goff all game. So I thought it was like a troll Jared Goff. That's why I jumped in. And
Makes sense.
it was like the Jared Goff chant at this point is like
A joke.
Jared Goff got you in this predicament right now, down 10 in the fourth. So yeah, Jared Goff.
Hey, you know what? Props to him though. When I just do look back on him taking the Rams to a Super Bowl and him getting back, because there's not too many people, there's not too many quarterbacks in the league right now who have even been to two championship games. I think what Burrow, Stafford, Stafford, Burrow, Mahomes, Purdy, and Goff maybe.
Hey, you know what I want to do? Luis said, "What's up from American Canyon?"
Oh
And the
yeah,
chat is live. Everyone, if you want to type in where you from, shout it out. We're
where
all
you
from the
from?
Bay. I'm from South City, but I'm out in Walnut Creek now. So everyone, throw that in there. We'll pull it up. Thanks for tuning in.
The VALLEJO. Yee. You know what it is. Say it backwards, baby.
That's right. That's right. Hey, next up, I wanted to get into some early Super Bowl thoughts. You know, hey, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, we can't ask for anything else, man. For Brock to get the recognition that we all give him the rep that he deserves, right? We know Brock is really freaking good, but like from the rest of the media, you go out and you beat Patrick Mahomes, who's known as the best quarterback over the last decade, future Hall of Famer. He's already amongst one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way. I mean, honestly,
Oh yeah,
I think Drew Patrick Mahomes is really freaking good. That being said, I'm looking forward to this game, and I think the Chiefs have some chinks in their armor where Niners
yeah.
and do some damage. But why don't we kick it around? Just what are you thinking about the Super Bowl coming up here?
This is going to be the greatest sports story in potentially all time. Even when Kurt Warner did it, man, he was 28 years old. Yeah, I know he was bagging groceries and he was playing in other leagues and, Dick Vermeil, just the whole story of Kurt Warner, man, was amazing. But this has the potential to be one of the greatest stories, and not only stories, because I think sometimes when it's like a story, it's like it's a one-time thing or something. But nah, man, if it's God's will for him to stay healthy and him, Purdy Purdy has just the heart and the mind that you can't teach that stuff. You can't teach, a 300-pounder smacking you right in the mouth and you still let it go and you still put it right on the money. And we've seen Purdy, the toughness, man, the busted lip. And this isn't just a one-time thing in the championship game. He's done it over and over and over all year long, taking those hits, getting up. He's never phased. He's a straight up baller, but it has the potential to be one of the greatest sports stories in all of sports ever. Just when you really break it down, like I began the show, was, man, if he wins the Super Bowl with his stature and his last pick, that type of stuff changes a lot of things. Like I said with Steph Curry, there's a lot of kids out there who think they could be the next Steph Curry, being smaller in stature. Hey, let me keep on working on this three. If I get good enough, and that does a lot. That creates, a lot of movement, a lot of momentum. Just in it would probably be really good for the NFL, to be honest. That's my initial thoughts. It's just we're gonna win. It is our year. Purdy's gonna be at the freaking center of it, and that movie's gonna happen. 30 for 30.
Love it, Jay. What are your thoughts about this upcoming Super Bowl matchup?
I don't know about you guys, fellas, but I thought Baltimore would win at home against KC, and I was definitely disappointed. I thought Baltimore would pull it out, but the Chiefs' defense is legit. I'm not really impressed with KC's offense. They have a few guys. We know their names. But as soon as KC won, I was like, oh, this is going to be the rematch from 2020. And how fitting would it be for Shanahan to beat Andy Reid in the Super Bowl rematch? And I was looking, when was the last time teams played each other in the Super Bowl, and I immediately thought, oh, it's the Giants and Patriots, and the Giants won both of those games in the Super Bowl, and it hadn't happened in years since then. So
That's a good one.
that's what first came to mind. The rematch. Pat Mahomes is a beast. There's stars on both sides of the ball. It's in Vegas, in the Raiders Stadium. How funny is that? It's going to be an exciting game. I can't wait for it, and I obviously think we're going to win. But it's Pat Mahomes. Like, we know what he can do. I'm interested to see what sideline Steve will do to try to stop Pat Mahomes. If there's a 3rd and 12, hey, if it's a 3rd and 12 and I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm playing Madden, I got a spy. You have to have a spy against Pat Mahomes. Will we see that against Pat Mahomes? How will sideline Steve defend the run? Because that's going to be a big deal. Travis Kelce, this man has the most catches in postseason history. I don't understand how he's open. Like, every play he is open. Like, he's literally their best offensive player of the last decade. I don't know why teams don't double him, bracket coverage, whatever you got to do. I don't understand it, but hopefully we have a game plan to stop their weapons. Because for me, it's Pacheco, it's Rice, it's Kelce on offense. Yeah. I'm not scared of MVS. I don't even know Miko Hard.
I do gotta say, hey, sometimes some of those Watsons,
the tight ends, yeah.
Sometimes a Watson catches a sneaky touch. That's Andy Reid, though. That's that product. I know it seems funny or mean, but sometimes that's Andy Reid, though, man. When the Kelce is open. But nah, hey, bracket. Hey, do what you got to do.
And real quick, this offensive line, the Niners offensive line, how are you going to protect Purdy? For me, it's been it hasn't been as good as it could be in the playoffs, and now you got to go against Chris Jones, Karlaftis, Charles Omenwehu, who had a huge play in that Baltimore game. I think he forced a fumble on Lamar Jackson, but then he got hurt. So it'd be interesting to see if Omenwehu will play, but the Chiefs got a pretty good
D-line. He tore his ACL.
Oh, he did. Oh, yeah. Dang. Man, that sucks. Because he was having a pretty good year. But
they have a guard out as well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't
their tackles. Their tackles
Tooney
are man. They're creating penalties. Taylor, the most penalties in the NFL, I believe. And then on the other side, he's it's wide open for us. But on the defense, I think we were talking last week. Just on some of their guys, all units on their defense. I mean, their secondary, Snead, Reed. Reed, McDuffie, like they got some players, Bolton
and the linebackers,
Tranquil, like that. I think they were the number one defense, and it's just it's like I think their offense might have took a tiny step back from 2019, of course, with Tyreek Hill, and then their defense has taken a step up. But I think it kind of like bodes well for us. Like, I think, I would rather face a little bit tougher of a defense, just our style of play, than a more explosive offense, especially right now, the way our defense is looked versus Jordan Love and Jared Goff. You know what I'm saying? And then, it does make me kind of think about stuff. I hope we get to see the 49ers' best game, because our offense hasn't really been clicking on full cylinders, versus a Detroit defense who doesn't have the best secondary, or versus the Green Bay Packers who don't have the greatest defense. We're gonna face a different breed versus KC, but I think we're built for it, man. Hey, let's see what sideline Steve does, man. I think that's gonna be key. Just our defensive game plan and not letting them just get that, because the early momentum, like if the Chiefs do what the Lions did and punch us in the mouth right away, that's gonna be hard. I mean, Mahomes ain't gonna get skidded, or he ain't gonna kind of fold up when things get tougher in the pocket. Mahomes is gonna get up out of there like we see Purdy do. And then, ironically, this might be the two most clutch players right now. It's Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. We get to see that face off. So, hey, man, let's go.
Amin, I want to hear from you. You're being a little too quiet over there. What are you thinking about this Super Bowl matchup?
No move.
I mean, you look at Andy Reid, and I think I said this before in like a previous show, but Andy Reid with the Eagles, he made to multiple NFC championship games and he fell short. And even with Alex Smith, when he went to Kansas City, he made the playoffs, he blew some leads, really didn't make it to the AFC championship game or the Super Bowl. But when he found his quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, they haven't looked back and made multiple AFC championship games, made multiple Super Bowl, even won the Super Bowl multiple times. What didn't Kyle Shanahan have that he has now? He has Brock Purdy. He has Brock Purdy in his quarterback. And that's what Andy Reid didn't have. And then he found his guy. He found his quarterback. And once he found his quarterback, he ended up winning multiple Super Bowls. And they've made it to the AFC Championship game, I think like 5 out of the last 6 years. If not all the years that Mahomes has been the quarterback, they've made it to the Super Bowl. I mean, not to the Super Bowl, to the NFC Championship game. AFC Championship game. Brock Purdy is Kyle Shanahan's quarterback. You saw them freaking hugging. The first guy that Kyle Shanahan wanted to see after that win was Brock Purdy. He went out, gave him a hug. Like, Kyle Shanahan has his quarterback. He trusts Brock Purdy. Now he has his quarterback. Looking at this game from 2019 we had a better defense, but this offense wasn't as good as it is this year. The case with, obviously this team in particular, this defense I wouldn't say is as good, but this offense is much better than it was in 2019. And you look at the Chiefs, for example. The Chiefs' defense wasn't as good in 2019, but their offense had Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. Their offense was better. And the Chiefs this year, their defense is better, but their offense isn't better. So it's kind of like a little bit of a reverse situation for both teams. But the 49ers, I mean, a couple of keys in this game. Get pressure after Mahomes. I don't think you need to blitz Mahomes, but I think these 4 guys on the D-line, Armstead, Hargrave, Bosa, Chase Young, you got to get pressure after Mahomes. You can't let Mahomes sit back up there and torch you, because he will torch you if you let him sit back up
that's
there.
How the Bucks. That's how the Bucks got it done.
And that's how the Bucks got Mahomes. That's literally my point. That's how the Bucks got Mahomes.
On him. Yeah,
you go and get Patrick, and like, there's no excuses. Defensive line, like, they don't have a couple of guards. They have injuries in the offensive line.
Hey, the Bucks blitzed the crap out of him, though, didn't they? I mean,
the Bucks did blitz
the crap out.
I think it was a combo.
Yeah, it was a combo. It was a combo,
but also heat.
Yeah, but you got to bring some pressure after Mahomes, regardless of if that's through blitz or the 4 guys on the defensive line. You got to make Mahomes uncomfortable, and that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, and it was ugly compared to that Bucks team. Like, they don't got Tyreek Hill. They have Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, Sky Moore. Their best guy is Rashee Rice, but like, you got to make Mahomes uncomfortable, get him rolling to his right, make him get the ball out, making throws off 1 foot. Like, off his back foot, like, make him uncomfortable, get pressure after him. Bosa, Chase Young. If there's one time where Niners fans will forgive you for your playoff inconsistencies and lack of effort, is in the Super Bowl. If you go out there and you go and ball out in the Super Bowl, all is forgiven. All is forgiven, my friend. Go out and ball out in the Super Bowl, and then if you want to go and get out of here and go to another team and get your bag, that's cool with me. Just, like, get it done in the Super Bowl. This is your time for redemption. Go get it done in the Super Bowl in the biggest game of the season for the 49ers in this team. But get pressure after Mahomes. Offensively, Kyle Shanahan, don't overthink. Like, if there's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter and you have a 10-point lead, you have Christian McCaffrey. Don't need to drop back and have empty sets with Brock Purdy with 5 minutes left and be like, Brock Purdy, go and win us this game with 5 minutes left with empty sets. Run the ball with Christian McCaffrey. Kyle Shanahan, don't overthink. Be smart about it. And I don't know if this is just me. Lastly, I don't know if this is just me, but I don't even think the Niners need to go crazy offensively. You look at what they did with Jimmy Garoppolo in that Super Bowl, running the ball down the Chiefs' throats, passing when they need to. Like, you don't even have to be that crazy with it, Kyle Shanahan. Do what you need to do. Stick to your identity of this 49ers football team. I think we should be fine. Defensively, though, you got to be much better than you've been the entire playoffs. Like, this defense has to be much better. I hope Steve Wilkes comes out with a better game plan and this team executes that game plan much better, because so far the last couple of weeks, especially in the playoffs, this defensive line, this defense in general as a unit, hasn't been up to par But if this defense comes out and they play like they've played in the regular season, at least the first couple of weeks in the beginning of the regular season, and this offense comes out and they fire on all cylinders, Niners might be, lifting that 6th Lombardi trophy. But, just got to play good football.
No doubt. A couple good comments. Shout out to Cardcast. He said L'Jarius Sneeds need more recognition. Read this comment. L'Jarius Sneeds a really freaking good football player. Good in coverage, and he's really physical for a corner. Like he's good blitzing him. He can play in the slot. He's a good player. And then I also like Luis. You said we definitely got a scheme for Chris Jones.
Yeah.
We got to bring it. And I agree with this because Chris Jones, dude, he wrecked so much havoc in that Super Bowl. Not only that, I went to a preseason game a couple years ago. It was Niners Chiefs. I believe that's when Lance hit a big bomb and got us all.
I was there, baller. I remember that.
But Chris Jones kicked our ass in that preseason game too. It's like Chris Jones he feasts against the Niners, so they absolutely need a game plan. It's going to be Feliciano.
The whole O-line's got to be better. Because, I'm getting flashbacks to the Super Bowl right now of Jimmy getting flustered off his back foot and, even that line and, throwing interceptions. But even that Lions game, Brock Purdy, it was a bad decision by Brock, but the pass rush got in his face. The pocket was kind of collapsing a little bit. And Brock Purdy throws it and, he hits a dude's arm or something like that.
It was bad.
It was bad. You can't have that in the Super Bowl because, even simple mistakes, the margin for error is so small. Look at the Eagles Super Bowl last year. They had that one fumble by Jalen Hurts, and that was freaking game changer for them. Game changer. If they didn't have that fumble by Jalen Hurts, the Eagles might have won the Super Bowl last year. So the margin of error against this Chiefs team is so small because they can burn you in so many different ways. If you and to Kel's point, if you go down 24-7 or you are down in this game, it's not going to be that much easier to come back. It's not going to be as easy to come back because Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs team, they won't let you. They simply won't let you.
Don't get down 17 to Pat Mahomes. That's
and especially that defense too, man. But hey, oddly enough, man, I could see it being a shootout. I'm thinking back, did Purdy ever play in Allegiant Stadium? I was like, oh yeah, the Raider game. I remember that game last year, and I remember the thumbnail I made, game of the year. It just felt like that game was the game of the whole year right there. And I'm just sitting here kind of daydreaming, man, watch this Super Bowl look a lot like that Raider game. I know it's Pat Mahomes. I know the players are different, but just the story of that game. And Brock Purdy might have to be gunslinger Brock Purdy, man, at certain moments to go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. And I'm a million times more confident in Brock Purdy than anyone else that we've had. And I think he can do it. It's going to come to, just limit the mistakes. Just try to, be that baller without being, feel like you got to be a hero and make a crucial mistake. And we're going to see what happens.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, Shanahan has to do what got us to this point, and I think he's gonna have to either help this offensive line by maybe having a tight end stay in, maybe chip their defensive end, or maybe double teaming, Chris Jones, or you got to get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball quick. We need to see some quick screens. Don't let Purdy sit there 4 or 5 step QB drops. I don't think he'll have time for that. He's going to have to get rid of the ball quick and obviously utilize CMC and the reverses. Just try to confuse them, which Shanahan is really good at. But don't allow the Chiefs defensive line to take over the game, because I think they could if Shanahan doesn't plan for that.
Get him in an early rhythm. I think we all kind of were saying stuff like that last week, and it kind of, but there's another point. It slipped my mind, but I'll come back to it. Oh, Kittle. I did want to just mention Kittle because you're talking about, maybe someone to come in and chip. How about Kittle pancaking Hutchinson? And
that was a good play.
It doesn't come up on the stat sheet, but I think we also did that on the reverse. I think we pancaked Laporta too on the flip side. I just seen those two plays. One of our defensive players got the best of him on that one, and just kind of, just in the trenches, man. It's like, hey, even if they are better than us in the trenches, don't just don't let it be, contain it. Like you just said, Jay, just don't let it take over the game. You might not
Right.
be able to stop it, but do things to be ready for it, be aware of it,
Right.
just respect the op, man. Don't just go into it. Well, this is our system and this is what we are going to do. You got to know that opponent is a little bit different than what you might want to do. So hopefully we come through full throttle, no lack of anything.
I have the appropriate respect for the Chiefs. Like these are the defending champs. This is Patrick Mahomes. That being said, this is our year, fellas. And I think the Chiefs, they got some weaknesses. No one on that offense, Kelsey, future Hall of Famer, he's not moving at the same speed he once was. Their best wide receiver is a rookie. They got the left guard's going to be out. Charles Omenihu, who had been playing well towards ACL. Like, this is the Niners' time to win this Super Bowl. Because I'll tell you what, next year, I'm banking this offseason, the Chiefs are going to go get Patrick Mahomes a weapon, like a really good one. So it's like, now's the time to go get him before they get that guy. Because I think it's going to be a little tougher if they get a premier weapon to pair with Pat Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco, he's a good running back. I know it's Keltz's boy. Keltz's been hyping up Pacheco all year.
He ain't no Gibbs, though. He ain't no
Gibbs or Aaron Jones. I think the way Aaron Jones had been running the ball, I think he has a little more juice than Pacheco. That being said, Pacheco's no slouch. So this run defense does need to lock in. They got a couple weeks to try to figure this thing out, how to set the edge, how to close up some of these gaps on the interior where we saw Montgomery just, carving up this defense. Being said, fellas, this is the time. This is the Niners' year. And let's go out, lock in, get this Super Bowl victory because we're hungry. And I had to remind at the game yesterday, before the game, I was watching the end of Ravens-Chiefs. And I was talking with OG, and he was like, it almost sounded like he was content with the Super Bowls that the Niners had previously. We were just talking. He's like, we got to celebrate some good times though, right? And I was like, no, dude. I was 4 years old last time they won. Like, my generation is hungry. We're starving for a Super Bowl. So I had to remind him of that. And he got it. He's like, you're right. We got to get this done.
Damn right.
Said, it's time, fellas. Hey, closing thoughts. Let's kick it around. Hey, appreciate everyone in the chat. The chat was live. We'll pull up some comments before we get out of here, but why don't we kick it around and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, I'll just hit up on Pacheco real quick. I think the 49ers struggle with faster backs, but we have seen guys even like Joe Mixon, come to Levi's and not be afraid of Drake Greenlaw and truck Drake Greenlaw. I don't know if y'all remember that little clip, but I was like, oh damn, and whenever it feels like the teams that catch us off guard that are like surprisingly physical, like, oh shit, like we ain't the big bad bully in these moments. I think that kind of catches the Niners off guard, but y'all know I love Pacheco, but in this game, man, yeah, I can't wait to see him and Drake Greenlaw meet head up because I think it's coming. And hopefully we get the best of that situation. Props to everybody in the chats. Niner faithful, we're going to the freaking Super Bowl. I don't want to blow your ears off, but man, we are there, man. We have done everything we possibly could have to this moment to get where we at, and it's beautiful. Man, I was crying after the game. I wasn't sobbing, but hey, someone was cutting some onions, man. I don't know, man. That NFC Championship game was a little bit different. I think because you could win. Y'all have heard me talk a lot about being lukewarm or leader of men and heart and everything that Brock is, and the level. I see Shanahan leveling up, and you could just see that love, man. You could see there's. It's just a beautiful thing, bro. And it's just that's all I really got to say. Y'all know where I'm at. Celtic Chronicles. Much love to all the faithful, even the haters, man. Love to y'all. Like much love, man. Y'all help fuel this. So like keep it strong, keep it going. Ryan Clark, you said what you said. You can't switch back. Just continue hating. Just keep pouring the fuel on the fire. You know, it's always been a battle and it won't stop, but we're gonna come out victorious, like my man Big Baller said. With this year, this is our year. Like Brandon Ayuk said in the beginning of the year, it's takeoff season. And then just a few days ago, he said, the time is now. Do it for the Bay.
Do it for the Bay. Hey, I echo your sentiments. Huge shout out to everyone that tuned into the show tonight, whatever channel you're watching. We appreciate the support. But yeah, it is our year. Can't wait for the game. We just got to do what we do that got us here to this point, and I think we'll be just fine. Can't wait for the game. Straight out of the Bay. Let's get it.
Let's get it, baby.
What you got to mean?
This is
His
a
way.
means time to shine.
This is it.
Y'all catch that Lakers and Warriors game a couple of nights ago? No, I'm just playing. Don't kick me out. Don't kick me out. You know, don't kick me out.
I was this close. I was this close.
That
That was a tough one. That game stung. No, that's why, because that game stung.
It stung. What do you mean stung? It didn't sting for me. Like I was on the right side of that. I don't know about sting.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I personally enjoyed
That's the
it.
one where Curry ripped the jersey, man.
Yeah, that
man,
was.
Hey, get mad, Curry. Get mad. Let's make a trade.
You know how I always end the show off. Bang bang Niner gang. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done, son.
Love it. Hey, thanks for everyone for showing up. We'll be back next week. No ball, but hey, we'll give a more in-depth Super Bowl preview, score
Dive.
predictions. We'll dive
Deep
in a
dive.
little bit deeper. You know, some analytical formalities we can mix in, no doubt. But hey, appreciate it. Niners, lock in. Let's clean up that run D, and let's end the quest for 6. Let's go get number 6.
Taking
All right.
it
That's it from us. Catch y'all next week, straight out of the Bay.
with a vengeance.